All righty, everybody. I'm going to continue watching the waiting room, make sure people can come in that aren't already with us.
Up to 84.
Yeah, we're getting there. So far, this is the biggest Zoom meeting we've had for PADNUG, so shocking. I know that. Mr. Hanselman will probably be joining us in the next 15 minutes. He figured about 7:45, but I'm allowing a little slack there. So Scott will be presenting much like he always does in December, and people not in Portland might even get a chance to see it. I know for sure we've got a couple non-Portland here. Jack, you're up here, right? Jack Stevens, I'm pretty sure is there. Bill Stanton?
Yeah, I'm in northwestern Idaho, Spokane.
Nice. Yeah, there you go. Spokane, Idaho. That's right. We're Greater Idaho.
Yeah,
as far as I know, Bill Stanford, you're the farthest from home from here, right? Carolina, North Carolina?
Yeah, probably.
You got snow though, right?
Was it?
You've got snow now, right?
No.
Oh, well, of course.
Getting some snow, but
I saw snow in Atlanta. I figured you'd have it too.
nope.
Oh,
And that is about 8 hours from here.
right, but it's the direction that would seem make it more likely you have it than they do. Anyway, that was why I assumed. Okay, well, that's a shame you don't. So for the one or two people that might be out there that don't know where to find PADNUG, there's where you can find PADNUG. You probably already know about Meetup or Facebook, and that's why you're here. Otherwise, there's a few other options. Oops, I pushed the wrong button there. We exist because Microsoft made a little thing called .NET almost 20 years ago. And on our normal meetings, we have a great place to meet at Intel. I don't know if that'll ever be available again with COVID, but we'll see. Now we have a lot of people who make meetings possible and help keep the group alive. There's a lot of fees and such that go along with being even a casual corporation as we are, and that's a place where we take advantage of that. We've got IT motives. Tony, I suppose you should speak, or would Alina want to speak? Or does Angelina want to speak?
How about Alina?
Okay. I know you're out there, Alina. I saw you on the list.
I am. Hi, how's everybody doing? Happy holidays. I have my tree too, Danielle, so don't think you're the only one. Have to represent recruiter Christmas trees.
I was going to say, is this a recruiter thing?
I was laughing because my son might have gotten a tech system speaker in his stocking last year, thanks to the holiday swag from last year's Christmas party. So thank you, Danielle. I am with IT Motives. There are a couple other of my teammates that are on this call as well. We've got Tony, the CEO, got Jackie and Blake, which are part of the recruiting team. They are going to put their contact information in the chat. So if you're looking to make connections in the tech community, or if you're looking for a position, they're definitely able to help out. We are a small, nimble company in Portland. We love making connections. We love being a part of PADNUG and other tech meetups in the Portland area. And we're just really happy to be here every year. This is like the highlight of our Christmas networking circuit.
Isn't it a little more nerve-wracking when the boss's boss is here too?
When Angelina's here, yeah, she makes me nervous. But luckily, she has half of my name, so I'm good. I'm good. And Tony, I don't know if you wanted to say anything, but just thanks for sponsoring PADNUG.
Thank you very much.
Actually, could I say something?
Yes.
So AutoMap has been helped by IT Motives in the past. I just want to point out that we've been very happy with them. They've given us some great candidates that have done a great job for us. And it's part of their, I think it's part of their attitude of really going the extra mile and making sure that people are the right fit for the right position.
Very
Thank you, Michael.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, it's good. And the pressure on the rest of the people, isn't it? Andrew, it's your turn. No, it's not. I apologize. You're on the next slide. Danielle is the next one.
Auto Maps, we will be calling you shortly to tell you how well we serve the community as well, and vet through our candidates. But to everyone here at PADNUG, you know, it's been a tough year. I've enjoyed our virtual meetings, not nearly as much as going out with everybody and meeting you at Intel and doing Thirsty Lion happy hours afterwards. But you know, we're always hiring. We're actually in a weird time of the year where we're swamped with .NET openings, both full stack, front end, all that stuff. So I'll put my contact information in the chat. If you don't use it today, so be it. But you know, I just like knowing all of you and getting to know your career goals. I do have a friend of mine here with us, Eric Fisher, who is looking forward to also getting to know the local .NET community. So Alina, your Christmas tree looks beautiful. And Michael, I'm looking forward to knowing how we can support Auto Maps in the future.
That is awesome. That is really awesome. Lori, Soft Source,
Hey,
one of my favorite places, I gotta say, because
we miss you. We miss you, Rich. Rich used to be a consultant at Soft Source Consulting. I am Lori Hannon. I am a consultant at Soft Source Consulting. We are a small software engineering consultancy here in the Portland area. All our consultants are local. Our clients are local-ish. If you're thinking about making a change in the new year, my contact information will be in the chat as well, or if you just want to expand your network. We're always looking for folks who, you know, have a core competency in something like C# or Java, Python, and are looking to put that to work, as well as learn any new skills that your client might need you to learn. If you want to hit me up with a contact, I'm happy to talk to you, no pressure, about why I choose to code at SoftSource. So I think that's it for me.
thank you very much. Let's turn now to the next slide where I can actually call on Andrew. Andrew.
I think everybody knows this is my favorite part of the night because I like speaking so much. No, just thank you very much for letting us sponsor PADNUG. We've been doing this for a long time. I think this is 11 years now for Vanderhouen being a sponsor of PADNUG. We've been in Portland now for over 30 years, and we're very grateful for that, especially this year. It's been a tough year for everyone. So thank you very much. I know most of you, I've met most of you, but if you want to chat or if you have questions or anything else, feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my contact information in the chat, and thank you very much. And I hope everybody has a great rest of the year, great Christmas, and great New Year's.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you very much. And is Charlie out there by chance? I didn't see his name swing by. I thought he was going to, but no, I don't see Charlie on here. Do we have any catapult humans? Just checking. Okay. Then Stephen Greger. I know I saw you out here.
I'm here. Hey, Rich, thanks. Hey, everybody. This is Stephen Greger with Robert Half Technology. Thank you all for hopping on the holiday edition of can you hear me okay, Rich?
Yep. Quite
okay,
well.
Cool. Sorry, I wasn't showing the audio thing. I'm on a new device. So we're in the middle of a move, but I really wanted to hop into this meeting and listen to Scott and listen to his podcast recently. It's been great. Yeah, so I'm calling from Robert Half Technology here. We're the world's oldest and largest specialized staffing firm, and Portland has been a growing market for us on a daily basis. .NET is just a part of what we do, but it is a major core of the types of roles that we fill. So in just a moment, I'm going to go ahead and throw in the chat here my contact information. If you're looking for a new job opportunity, looking to pick up some project work throughout the holidays or even after, give me a jingle and we'll see what we can do to get you hooked up no matter what you do. Thanks, everybody.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Something that I don't know that I've ever mentioned to the group in general, but we have declined sponsors for PADNUG more than once. So Michael, I'm kind of leveraging what you said. The reason these people are our sponsors isn't just because they gave us money. It's also because we like them to be part of our group. And if organizations haven't reached a certain bar, if they're not willing to participate, I've had this conversation so many times with people who want to sponsor. I'm like, if you're not going to come out fairly regularly and be a part of our group, then I don't know why you'd give us money, because it's not worth it to you and it's not worth it to us. So these individuals that we just heard from, they are here because they're awesome, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for that.
I don't know, Rich, you're turning away money there.
Yeah, some money is worth avoiding. I just say it that way. We've had bad experiences in the past. So, further expanding on that, we are giving away swag tonight, and in part that is Qdoba gift cards, and I'm pretty sure everyone's going to get one. It looks like we will be well under our limit on how many people get them. So when you add, and by the way, that means I need to post the link again, because some people haven't seen the link yet. They got here later. This link, there are 92 people in the Zoom, and there are 70 people who have followed that link and entered their information so far. So there is at least 22 people who haven't added the information. That will provide you an opportunity to get your Qdoba gift card, and you will have a chance at the end of the meeting, if you are here, to win we'll call it the Xbox Series X, but ultimately it's a gift card to the Microsoft Store, so you can acquire it at leisure. So go ahead and start adding, if you haven't already added your contact info on there. It's really simple: first name, last name, and email address. And we will provide that to Qdoba and also pick someone to win the big prize tonight. I'll chat it one more time because we just had another person join. And I will chat it again later in the meeting too.
And Jackie, are you a bot, an artificial intelligent bot or something? You have a very interesting look.
She's got a background on. She doesn't want everyone to see her dirty laundry out behind her.
No, yeah. I'm having to hide out in my bedroom. My toddler is in the other room screaming. So I'm keeping everybody from seeing my dirty bedroom right now.
Wow, I did not know I thought I was joking, Jackie. I'm sorry.
No, it's totally cool. A little behind on the laundry, but I do have, I don't know if you'll be able to see him. Blanket, but he shows up. My dog is hanging out with me, so I do have a friend.
The dog is under a blanket, right?
Yeah, he's under an Oregon State blanket. Go Beavs. I believe they just won too.
Uh-oh, Tony, no. She still works for you now. Quit it.
Yeah, sorry, Tony, but the Ducks have done well the last, how many years? It was our turn for a win. Yeah.
That's probably fair. So again, there's now 23 who have not put their name on the swag list. So if you haven't done that yet, go ahead and do that. Should I refresh? Maybe someone did and I missed it. Oh, it did need a refresh. Okay, so podcasts. A few months ago, we started posting up some podcasts. We really haven't added a lot to this list. If you have some podcasts that you really enjoy and is relevant to software development and Microsoft development in particular, please share with us, and we'll either add it or put it in rotation. I don't know that we'd want to do many more than what we have there, but please let us know. It's always a good time. That was an interesting sound. What was that, folks? I like it. So up and coming, a couple days from now, the SQL Server user group is having their virtual holiday party. What a crazy idea that will be. And a past retrospective. Next Tuesday, if Thirsty Lion is able to take guests, we will have a geek dinner over Washington Square. That, I think we will know tomorrow or Thursday if that's even possible. So keep an eye out on Meetup if you haven't already. Then Friday, Oregon Data Community is having an event. They don't really post a lot of detail, obviously, so you'll have to go to Meetup to find out more. I think it links you to something that links you to something, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, December 16th, Agile PDX is having their 12th in a series of presentations, their formal presentations. They have a lot of other events too, if you don't know that. And then 3 weeks from today, we will try to have a geek dinner at Grand Central Bowling if they are open again. If they are not, we'll see if we can do it at Thirsty Lion, Washington Square or not. It all depends on what happens in the next few days and how many people get COVID. Then finally, in January, Bruce Green is presenting. And since he's here, he should share his plug himself. Bruce, where are you? There you are.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Well, first of all, you realize the stress of having to follow up Scott Hanselman. So
No stress.
there is that. There is stress.
I talked to him last night. He doesn't even know what he's presenting. So we're fine.
At least that puts me ahead in that one regard. Yeah. So I've got an open source project that is it's on GitHub. It's open source, and it provides a much easier way for someone who isn't a Visual Studio expert and a WPF expert to create a WPF application. And when you're done creating it, you can export it to a Visual Studio project in either .NET Core or .NET Framework. So, I mean, I'm going to have a lot of fun presenting it to you, and looking forward to January 5th.
Very nice. Very, very nice. Thank you very much for that. And I don't know that we've got Scott yet. Let's take a look. We might have to just chat for a while.
I have a question then while we have time.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got a software project that I've been working on for about 90 years, and I can't seem to get it off the ground very well.
Because it's in a language from 90 years ago, Chris. That's
well, I was Albany, Georgia. I went to junior college there in the what was it, 410 101 or something. Anyway, I need to ask what direction should I go on learning and programming if I want to learn how to take an audio and digitize it and put it through a processor and turn out video, and I want to take the same video and turn it back through the processor and turn it into the same audio.
Ketterman, you got any thoughts on that? Chris?
I've always been reluctant to talk about my project with a lot of people there because somebody will pick it up and run, and if I had it working the way I want to, I know it'd be a great piece of software. But
well, Chris may have stepped away. That might be why his video's off, but he actually does work in that similar vein, so that might be worth chatting with him a bit. He's on here, so you can.
I'm dual doing two things at once, so I kind of missed where the conversation went.
Got it. Basically, I'll sum it up as easily as possible. Chris has some video audio magic he wants to do and would like some opinions on. So if you guys don't know, you can chat directly with individuals in the Zoom chat. And I also see Kenton is weighing in, and Lewis too. So if you guys want to chat directly with one another, go ahead and do that. You might discover some magic there.
So
yeah, I primarily work with building front end, React, video players and stuff like that. My company I work for High Vision. We are kind of one of the top video encoding providers. We have hardware and software. But I primarily dabble in, or not dabble, but I work in the React front end. So I'm doing more web kind of stuff.
So Chris, did you catch all those individuals? Lewis and Kenton are chatting in the Zoom chat. And then Chris, you can chat him directly also.
Okay.
Chris Ketterman. Technology.
So were you looking at actually encoding the audio into a piece of into a piece of video, like a watermark sort of thing?
I want to take audio and make a video picture out of it.
Okay.
You know what synesthesia is?
Well, what is?
Synesthesia.
No.
Oh yeah.
It's
Like when you can when your senses crisscross.
There may be something you can do with FFmpeg that will allow you to take audio streams and actually generate kind of random fractal video streams from that. So FFmpeg would probably be a good place to look.
What's the name of? I couldn't hear very well. Let me see. Is that Chris talking?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Figuring out how to do this here.
I dumped it into chat, so you should be able to see in the chat there for.
FFmpeg, huh?
Oh, I see. Cool. Scott should be joining soon, folks, just so you know.
If he doesn't, I'll do the presentation.
I know you can, Andrew. You've seen it. You've seen Scott present enough. You probably can do
So my presentation won't be nearly as much fun, but I will start on time.
it. Well, one time is kind of say, hey, there's a Scott Hanselman wanting to come into our meeting.
Tell him no.
Denied. You know what's awesome is if you do that, they're actually banned for a period. Make co-host. There you go. Yes, I do want to make him a co-host. I'm going to stop sharing too, because there's no point in me sharing this crap when Scott's going to have much better stuff to share.
How's it going, everybody? Thanks for your patience.
I just had to get the proper link to Scott, and magically he's able to come in.
Can you hear me, Rich?
Yeah.
All right, let me put this microphone on so I can move.
Oh, there you are, way up there. By the way, earlier, Danielle, you literally had moved over next to Alina, and Andrew moved into the.
You can drag people around now, Rich, and Zoom.
I know. That's kind of cool, but I didn't drag her. She just, by the nature of things, she moved into a different position. And I called on Andrew when I meant to call on Danielle. I looked at that location, and there was Andrew's face. That was Taekwondo, by the way. Got it.
Pop, pop, pop. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Indeed. And that's video game, right?
The video game here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my MAME console.
Yeah, nice.
Got a 7-part series on my blog about how to make them.
Yeah, I seem to remember that.
I have a bunch of them. I have got this one here. That's really small.
Yeah, nice.
You can actually, I'm going to be a diva, and I'm going to click Spotlight Video, if you don't mind.
I was about to do the same for you, so that's okay.
Cool. Yeah, sorry. I was just doing Zoom Taekwondo. So if you need any small, older people or children beaten up, just let me know, and I can. More of a slap fight at this point, but we're getting there. All right, cool. Oh, hello, everyone.
Welcome to our December meeting, Scott, this is.
Rocco is asking how we spar over Zoom. We can't, so we do coordinated, like do 3 moves, do 3 move, and it's kind of a kick, kind of a dance. It's more about the workout. We're not actually kicking each other. We're doing all the hyungs and doing all the work and whatnot. But the goal is to make sure that that we don't lose all of our stuff while we wait for gyms to open back up again, which kind of sucks. Cool. I want to say, by the way, thank you for setting this up, but also thank you to the 23 odd people who turned their cameras on. I realize that not everyone is camera ready or wants to be camera ready, and it's a thing, right, to like turn your camera on. But it is as in doing that though, you make it better for me because I don't have to look at Rich, because then it's like, hey Rich, I'm going to talk to you. Well, what's nice is the background of you all like nodding your heads and or Rocco shaking his head sad about what I'm showing, and see, thank you, Danielle. That just makes me feel like, oh, okay, they're giving me good feedback or whatever. Right? People like Alina who are looking over their laptop at the TV beyond, but they're still. It feels like she's here.
Well, and note Danielle was the first Christmas tree, actual Christmas tree in the background we had.
That is the same Christmas tree she had up last year. Actually, she never took it down.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yeah, life hack right there, my friends. All right. Are there tacos, Rich?
There will be. If you want to add your name to the list, I'll go ahead and chat it one more time.
No, I far be it for me to take tacos from the people.
No, you won't. You won't. Everyone gets tacos.
Everyone gets tacos?
Everyone gets tacos.
Oh,
so there's the link. If you go add your
this is very exciting.
And email address there in chat, you will
very exciting.
You will get a Lola gift card. I mean,
my goodness. People are in the waiting room that are suffering who are not going to get that opportunity.
They will, because I'll chat it again before we actually.
Oh, lovely. Okay, cool. Then I'm not going to admit these people. I feel pressure to admit them, but I'm not going to do it. Is that okay?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, cool. All right, friends. Let's not waste your time, shall we? What can I do to not waste your time? I'm going to put you over here, and you now see purple, I'm assuming. Is that correct?
Beautiful shade of purple.
Lovely, lovely. All right, cool. What did we say we were going to talk about today, Rich? New things, all things new?
All things new. And
what did I talk about last year?
And the best old things would be good too. Well, what was new last year? That was what we talked about.
Well, actually, here's a thing that's new that I can show. I can show you a couple of things that are fun. And then, actually one other thing, because we have an intimate group here, we can all have, feel free to like interrupt or chat or ask questions. And as always, yell out, "That's BS, Hanselman," like you do when we're at Intel. And I'll answer your questions. I also want to have an advertising portion of the day here because I make dozens of dollars every year with my Christmas toys list with my Amazon referrals. So I made a 2020 Christmas list of best STEM toys for kids. So go and check out the blog. And this is a Portland company, a kids book about. It's a great subscription for kids. A Day in Code, the new Legos toys. And I kind of go through and review some of the great toys that are happening right now. And I use Amazon links and stuff to get me those dozens of dollars. And then also chess.com has got a membership deal right now. And I've got on the podcast coming in a couple of weeks, I've got an international chess master to come and talk about the Queen's Gambit with me. So if you have not subscribed to the Hansel Minutes podcast, you have only 764 episodes to catch up on. So just only 15 years, but you're at home. So what are you going to do, right? You just listen to the show.
Should we point out that Queen's Gambit is one of the best shows made yet?
That was great. That was great.
It is very, very exciting. I don't know why. No one knows why, but it's just good. It just executes on every level.
And it's complete. I hope they don't do a second season because it is.
No, it's perfect. It's like the Watchmen or that thing called Lovecraft Country, where it's just a perfect season of television, and doing any minute more would be too much. So we just do it and we drop it and we walk away. It's lovely. Yeah, and Alan is pointing out that you can actually play her and of course get crushed by her on chess.com. And the great thing about the Queen's Gambit is it makes you feel like you can play chess. You cannot play chess. None of you are good at chess. Okay. Yeah, Alan knows what's up. Nope, not good. Okay, let's talk about a couple of fun things. Have I been telling you all how wonderful and just what a joy the Windows terminal is? Have we done the Windows terminal advertising period here? I see Charles loves the Windows terminal. He's appreciating it. Paul, thumbs up from Paul, who likes it. So long story short, I think I mentioned this years ago, but I just want to remind you that a terminal is not a shell. You remember this whole speech? That this is the command prompt, but the thing that drew the blue line around it, that was done by the console host. So I can go and run fake DOS, the DOS prompt, the command prompt here. These are both the command prompt, but this is brand new and modern and open source, and that's the Windows terminal. And this is old and nasty and has weird font rendering, and you don't want to use this anymore. So we have created a new terminal, not a new shell. What's exciting about it is that it is open source and it's out now. And there's some cool tricks for you. So notice that when I drop the list down here, I get this little chevron. It not only auto detects the things you have on your machine, which is cool, but you can go and edit and add your own thing. So if you're using, Git Bash or Mono or whatever makes you happy, you can go and do that. But here's a trick you may not know, and this is where I hope that any of you, I'm looking at now almost 30 lovely faces, you'll all recoil in excitement, or at least Charles will be like, whoa, and that would make me happy. Okay, so you pull this down, you click on this, and then you hold down Alt with your thumb, and you're going to click. So we're going to hold Alt, and I'm going to click on the command prompt, and now I get split screen in the Windows terminal, which is pretty sweet. And then I'm going to hold down Alt, and I'm going to click again, and I'm going to get another split screen. And I've even gone, because I'm that guy, and I've put in Comic Sans background to show my command prompt. These background graphics here are actually overlaid, or I think they're actually, are they underlaid or overlaid? They're underlaid. Isn't that attractive? So that is kind of a cool thing you can do. You can put anything you want there. You can put a GIF there, whatever makes you happy. Jack is saying CPM on Windows. If you can get it to run and it's a console app, it will run underneath the Windows terminal. So for example, Git Bash, which comes with Git, and it's not really Linux, will run underneath that as well. So now I'm in what's called MinGW, but any shell that's a console app will run in this, and it just makes things better. And this is important to remember because if you're super old like me, you will remember that if you go and do something like this, dir/s, and it starts spewing out logs, you may know that like if you're doing a build, if you make this really small, it will go faster. Isn't that awful? That is an actual bug in Windows. Basically, it is synchronously painting to the screen. So the fastest way you can get console output is to just minimize it, and it'll go as fast as possible. The new Windows terminal solves that problem, and it does not do that. And it's basically written like a game, right? What are you talking about? What is all the random people saying random stuff? Rocco, what are you talking about? Riri Williams do you see my desk? Are you able to see that? Rocco, where did you go? I didn't even see Rocco. He's talking about my inspirational, the name of the computer. I thought you could see her.
Oh no.
I was like, she's on my desk. This is Ironheart. This is the next Iron Man. And but the name of the computer is Ironheart, which is this lady right here who went to MIT. Got confused about that. I was like, I forgot that you can see my name of my computer there. Thank you for that, Rocco. Very nice. Okay.
Hey, Scott.
Yes,
is there a key I can hold to make a admin prompt come up?
Okay. Is this recorded?
Yes.
Is it really recorded?
Yeah, it's
okay.
a recording.
So I can't tell you that.
Okay, good answer.
But I can tell you, is the chat recorded?
Not
necessarily. I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
And then we never spoke. Okay? Don't say it out loud. You can't post the video.
Okay.
So the answer, Rich, is no.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. There are ways, but they're not appropriate. Now, if you wanted to, you could go and hit Control Shift and make an entirely new instance of the terminal. So I've just fired up a new instance. It's marked as administrator, and you'll notice that it has a lightning bolt in my prompt to indicate to me that I am administrator. And for a moment there, it popped up that it was administrator in the title bar. But you can't mix tabs because a process in Windows, right? This is a process that's running, can run as an administrator or not, but you can't do multiple. So if we go here and look in the task manager, the parent process for the terminal started as not admin. Non-admin processes cannot have admin children. If they did, like if this was an admin, then it could leak into other ones, and then you don't want that. Make sense?
Yep.
Cool. I have that same shirt, Laurie Hannon. So a tip of the caffeine-free Diet Coke to you.
Well, thank you very much. I saw it when you wore at a build, and that's why I have one. So
I take full credit and demand my restitution.
it's in the mail.
Excellent, excellent. Cool.
Comes in the form of a Qdoba gift card, by the way.
Hey, tacos. I love that. Okay, so now I've done some key binding. So I don't know if you can see, it's subtle, but you see how this blue line is around the PowerShell there? If I click on another one and another one, you see how that's your focal rectangle, right? So now I'm going to hit Control W, Control W, Control W, Control W. Now, those of you that are Linux heads might say, oh, well, I can do that with Tmux or Emacs or Screen or whatever. That's cool. Good on you. But this isn't that. This is a window pane system that is outside that. Does that make sense? So here's different tabs. Here's a pane opening within a tab. But if I were going to go like into Ubuntu in its own text world, type Tmux, notice that the screen that I'm on is popped up down here in text. Yes, I could then split up that terminal into other Tmux bits, but it wouldn't actually be its own tab. Like Windows terminal can't know. So there's a difference between this split screen and that split screen. Does that make sense? Last thing I want to point out is look at how nice this looks. This kind of like cool glyph with my blood sugar in the corner, comparing it to this one, which looks like trash because Unicode, right? So what you want to do here is you want to think about your nerd fonts. Are you familiar with nerd fonts? Nerd fonts. The iconic font aggregator. You got people in the waiting room, my friend. All right. So nerd fonts take the character set for the fonts that you regularly want to use and then add stuff. Like you could add just 7 to get that glyph for the power line. Or you could add 600 glyphs from Font Awesome. Or if you wanted your prompt to have weather icons, where are those icons going to come from? They need to come from your font. So you would basically create a buffet, a cafeteria plan of your font. And you'd say, you know, I love Courier New plus the octacons from GitHub, a weather icon, and then I need these icons here, which are the Git branching icons. And then you build that. Now you can do it at the command line, or you can go and find these fonts pre-downloaded. So you can go to Fonts Download, pick your favorite font. What's your favorite font, Rich?
Oh, I don't know. I still like Fira.
Comic Sans.
Fira?
Yeah.
There you go. So here's Fira code rebuilt with as an extension of Fira Mono with ligatures, bigger operators, the zeros action there, and then of course your additional glyphs.
Very nice.
You can download that, which is lovely. Now, ligatures, I think we talked about this a couple of years ago, are the tabs versus spaces. Like marriages have been broken up over font ligatures. It's a nightmare. Now I'm using Control Scroll here to make these really big because I like to see things like that. Now if I type dash, dash, arrow. That happens. Equals, equals. See how it turns into one giant rocket ship looking thing? Isn't that weird? Here's the one that will break up a family. W, W, W.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. What do you feel like? What do you feel about that, Rich? You have mixed feelings about that?
I'm a fan.
Whee! I don't know what that's about, but check this out. Here's even worse, right? You know this one.
Love that.
And this can be a little confusing. Yeah. Liz is like, yes, I'm digging it. Okay. What about this, Liz? Yay! See, my ligature people are here. Tabs and ligatures. L'chaim. Woo!
Cheers.
Now, this is important, though. Let's do this. Let's say notepad foo.text. And we'll go and we'll put this into the notepad. And I'll go like that. Now, notice that notepad is representing that ligature. I turn the font on. That is only because I'm using Cascadia Code, a font that supports ligatures. But if we go and we say courier, right, we don't see the ligatures. And a ligature is just like if anyone speaks Arabic or Ethiopian Amharic, any kind of language where two things change because they're near each other, that ligature where this reflects that because they're close to each other. Actually, I'll give you another great example of font ligatures. I'm going to go to the blog here. I'm going to search for Hanselman ligatures. And I'm going to show you. Actually, wait a second. I think I did a thing on Christmas cards. The Christmas cards? Or that's Andy Hanselman. Who's that guy? What is that about? Was it wedding cards? Wedding fonts. You would not expect to search for Hanselman wedding fonts and find something. Look at this. That's actually built into Word. That's me typing Microsoft. That's a way to take your wedding invitations or any kind of invitations to the next level. So here's an example of FI with and without ligatures, FL with and without ligatures, and you see how they get added. A lot of, mixed feelings about this stuff, but you can go and do stuff like this in Word. Very kind of cool. And I ended up using this for my wedding many, many years ago. Okay. So this is stored. So we have foo.text. So it's two Unicode bytes, 1, 2. If we go out here and we say type foo.text, it outputs like that. But to be clear, it is, I think if I can go hex dump, foo, oh, I push tab, foo.text. See, it is in fact 2 separate bytes. So ligatures are only how it chooses to express itself. And when you start using ligatures, it doesn't mean that it's going to mess the code up for anybody else. So it's a choice that you can make that won't change the code that you check in, which is nice. Got some people in the waiting room there.
He's already been here.
I don't know. I just want to make sure that we're inclusive, and that means letting people in. Okay, cool. What the hell was I talking about ligatures? Keep me focused, Rich. What's wrong with you?
You were focused on the fonts that you can use.
Oh, the fonts. Yes, the power line. Oh, it's scrumptious. Look at this, friends. Watch this. I'm going to go to my blog. Look at this. What? There's my Git prompt. There's my main. There's a cool Git glyph. You can see I have 1 item added, 1 item modified. I'm on a dirty branch. That's cool. Now I'm going to go over to another location. I'm going to go to my podcast, but I'm not going to type CD. CD is just 2000 and late. I'm going to type Z, and I'm going to type HAN, and I'm going to hit tab. Okay, when I do that, it's going to look in places that I have already been. Okay, so places I've already been, like on my D drive, GitHub, Hansel minutes. And when I type Z, see how fast I can get places? It's like a history thing. It's basically like, these are the 4 or 5 places that you go. You can get there really, really fast. Then, if you just say Z, you can see the history, right? Or you can say CD hyphen and go back. It's a really cool like way to like flip back and forth. And that's also written up on the blog. If you type for Hanselman Z CD, I got a whole blog called Spend Less Time CDing Around. So everything I talk about, you can find on the blog, because that would be a waste of time if you couldn't. Okay, so I'm just pointing out that this podcast is on main and it's green and it's clean, and this one is dirty, and if it were conflicted, it would be red. That's done with Oh My Posh. You can search for Hanselman Pretty Prompt, and you can find how to make a pretty prompt in Windows Terminal. And there's Oh My Posh and Oh My ZSH, and there's all kinds of stuff. But the thing you want to ultimately search for is Powerline. That's the magic. And Powerline has themes, and it doesn't have to look like this. It can look like whatever makes you happy, and you can totally modify it. Hello, friend. Thank you very much. You're a pip. Oh, lovely. My wife agreed that I could do this and that she would feed me. So now we're going to watch me eat sushi before I die. Cool. Any questions, comments so far? As I mute myself and smash this dragon roll.
Does Comic Sans support nerd fonts?
No, but if you search for Hanselman patch font, I have a blog post called Patching a Font to Include Powerline Glyphs, and I walk you through what it'll look like if you don't. So you installed Comic Sans, right? It would look like this, and then it wouldn't have the glyph that you wanted. And then you get a thing called Font Forge. And then look what it does. It patches the TTF, the true type font, generates a new custom font, which then you put in your Dropbox or your OneDrive or whatever, so that it might then roam elsewhere and be on all of your machines. So yes, that would be deeply awesome.
Thank you.
If you were to go and do that with Comic Sans. Even better, if you were to write a script and a virus to install a Powerline Comic Sans on all of your coworkers' machines.
Right.
An advertisement for my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel, I see, excuse me. My YouTube channel, hello, is a biscuit away from 100,000 subscribers. And I do this when my wife is at the hospital and the boys are asleep. So if you want to see videos of me talking quietly in the dark so I don't wake the children, I need only 1,800 more people. So if you can just subscribe, if you could have your children subscribe, your spouses, just subscribe. They don't know. They don't even use the Google account anyway. John Smart knows what's up. So what I do is it's kind of the Bob Ross of tech. It's a little bit, it depends on your mood, right? Like, because when you're in a room like this, that's all like disco and you've just done Taekwondo, you're kind of like a little hyped up. That's one kind of style of presentation, right? Rich brings out good energy in me. But if I were to bring it down a little bit, right? Hey friends, how's it going? Then you have a little more Bob Ross. Hey, everybody. So it's kind of like, morning zoo versus late night talk radio. And I've got a lovely thing. You can actually go and find this at computerstufftheydidn'tteachyou.com, because there are no more domains under 20 letters. And that'll take you to my YouTube channel. Well, specifically my YouTube playlist. And I walk through things like, Git 101 basics or text editing. And one of the things I talk about on my blog, on my YouTube rather, is step-by-step how to go and, set up the terminal, set up split pane, set up an awesome prompt and stuff like that. So that's cool as well.
Happy little containers. I like that one.
Happy little containers. It really is, actually. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what I'm intending to do with it. Because I feel like there's a lot of really overly intense bro-ish videos out there about programming, and I want people to just like, let's just chill out, do a little ASMR, and eat sushi and make some little Git prompts. All right. Cool. Oh yeah. Have we talked about WSL and what a joy it is yet?
What
No,
is a
we have not.
WSL, Scott?
I'm looking at Charles. Thank you for that question, Rich Clausen. Okay, so this is an interesting one, and any feedback from WSL too. Thank you, John Smart. Let's do this. Let's go into Notepad and just make it really, really clear, because that's where the real work happens. We talked briefly about a terminal, which is the app that shows text. Then a console, which is kind of also the app that shows text, but it's the window that, around it. But console is also a generic term. Like if in the 60s, you would sit down at a console and then talk to the terminal. So a terminal also has a software backend. You might hear like con TTY or things like that. And then a shell. We all now in 2020 tend to use those words interchangeably. Oh, what's your favorite shell? Oh, I use conemu. That's not what I asked. Well, what's your favorite terminal? Oh, I use PowerShell. Not what I asked. But we just mix and match those kind of things. So there is the shell that you choose to use: PowerShell, Bash, ZSH, PowerShell Core, or POSH, as people call it. DOS, but not DOS. And then back in the day, there was 4DOS and all these kind of things. Those are shell choices. What's the thing that draws your prompt that you type stuff into? Are you a person that types ls, or are you a person that types dir? That's a decision. Then there's your terminal, which could be iterm, conemu, console, z, what's the other one? Hyper, etc. Windows terminal is one of those things. Now, back in the day, these many years ago, there was lots of things like conemu, which is a third-party console, that would have to pop up a DOS box like this. You got a friend waiting for us in the thing there, Rich.
Chris, you're already here. Why are you on here twice?
He gave his ticket away to another person. He's letting in hooligans. This console here would basically pop up, and then the third-party console would scrape it. It would minimize this, keep running it down here, and then scrape it and paint it again. It was an awful, awful hack. And that was because Windows did not have a way to do this, to go and use what's called the pseudo console. There was no way in Windows to correctly talk to a character mode application and make your own pseudo console. So we went and made, introducing the Windows pseudo console that would allow an ecosystem of these things. Jack is saying, where does WinBatch fit? Let's find out what WinBatch is, because as I remember, this was a long time. This is an interesting one. Okay, so WinBatch is a scripting language, but it's not a shell. That's a great question. This is a good example. Okay, so thank you for bringing that up. So shells, some shells also have shell scripting languages. WinBatch is one of those. Then there's also batch, or CMD, right? There's shell scripts. There's PowerShell, the language, which is different than PowerShell, the script. Does that make sense? Let me blow your mind for a second. I'm in the terminal on Windows. I'm going to run Ubuntu. I'm going to go over to the mount points and now my D drive. And now I'm in the same folder as before. In that folder are PowerShell scripts. I am not running PowerShell. This is Bash. I am running Ubuntu, specifically Ubuntu 18.04. If I look at one of these scripts, like Docker build, there is what is called, at the beginning of this PS1 file, a shebang. That hash bang is called a shebang. You know how on Windows the extension matters. On Linux, it doesn't. The extension on Windows is how Windows goes, oh, I know the thing to run that thing. I see this and I go, PowerShell, cool, that's cool. On Linux, you could name the file .poo, it wouldn't care. It's going to look at the shebang and go, oh, that must be the thing to run that thing. I'm not running PowerShell, I'm running Bash, but I could go and I could run this .ps1 if I marked it as executable. And I could say Docker build, and it will run. What will run it? User bin PowerShell, so the Linux version of open source PowerShell core. So back to the question that Jack asked was WinBatch fits where? Well, WinBatch is its own scripting language, and you could be here in Windows in PowerShell, and you could type, foo.bat, and that batch file would be run by the Windows batch processor. Or if WinBatch had a runner, you would say WinBatch foo.bat, and it would run that thing, or whatever. So that's a great example where the shell may or may not have a scripting language. And this is where things get really powerful and folks get excited, or they get really powerful and folks get overwhelmed. I'm in PowerShell on Windows. Okay, I could say something like dir. That's not really dir. It's actually an alias for get child item, which is a PowerShell-ism. So when I say dir, it's running get child item, but it's close enough. It's there to make you feel comfortable. It makes a string. I can type dir and I can pipe it through more, and now it will go and go and go. And then you see at the bottom there, it stops, right? It's been one executable, made some strings and piped it into another executable, which then took the streams and changed its behavior. But I can also run WSL, which is the Windows subsystem for Linux. And the Windows subsystem for Linux allows me to pass in, there we go, -e arguments. So I could probably say WSL grep. Look at that. I'm in PowerShell on Windows. I ran Linux and then ran grep in Linux, which then means I could probably go dir, pipe it into grep, and look for something. Let's see what dir actually returns so I can find something. We'll say test. Okay, so I've strung together two things. I've pushed a string through a wormhole into another universe. That other universe being the Linux version of grep. Any questions or thoughts like this? Isn't that interesting? There you go. Jack is pointing out how you can run KSH on Bash. All right, go ahead. Somebody unmuted and then I cut them off accidentally.
You're a madman.
I'm a madman. I will take that as a compliment. I'm hopped up on sushi right now, but soon to be tacos.
Might take a few days.
Mm-hmm. I recommend that you go to FG Sushi in Forest Grove, Oregon, and get the orange dragon roll. It'll kick your butt and clear your sinuses in the same bite. It's glorious. Topped with jalapenos and sriracha.
So Scott, how does WSL know which Linux you've got on to run if you just say WSL?
What a lovely question. It's almost as if I paid you ahead of time to ask that question. I'm going to say WSL --list-v. It picks the one with the star by it. But let's say I don't like that one. What if I wanted a different one? Well, I bet you, and I'm guessing, I'm making all this up, by the way. I bet you that I could go and say distribution and I could ask for Kali Linux, which is a different Linux, and get its one. Close. That may not work because it's not using bash. Let me try W Linux. These are different Linux distributions, and every different distribution is different. If I say WSL-D, are you mad at me? Is it -D? WSL-help. Beep boop bop boo. Yeah, did I say /D?
Yeah,
I'm
that's the problem right there.
-D, you schmuck.
2-.
No, it's 1 dash.
Okay.
2 dashes for the full word, 1 dash for the short thing. So here, I still got a grep, but I grepped the grep from this one. I grepped the grep. I ran that distribution because it's not my default. I asked for it by name. And then everything from here over came out. So that's really cool. Now, why is this interesting? A couple of things. I'm on Windows, which means I can now do builds on Linux. I also want to point out that you haven't seen anything be slow. You haven't had a thing where I said, now we're going to start the virtual machine and wait an hour, right? It's not that thing. Like, yeah, I know you could run a virtual machine. Yeah, I know you could run a virtual machine for years. But when we start a virtual machine, we all go, now the virtual machine is going to start. It's like a thing. It's really frustrating, right? Let's look at our WSL. We have currently, this one's running, this one's running. Let's run Alpine. WSL-D Alpine, 1000. That's how fast it starts.
No, it's way faster than that.
Maybe 1. It was fast. And then it'll sit there for a while, and then it's just like W Linux, it'll just go away. It'll just like, okay, I guess you're not needed anymore. It'll fall asleep, which is really cool. So it's a lightweight utility VM, and you can have as many of them as you want. And even if you want to, you could say export, and then you could tar it up, which is what Linux people say when they want to zip stuff. You can tar it up and give it to a friend, and then they can import it. So you could make a Linux distribution that's the way that you want to do your builds at work and give them all to your friends and family for gifts at Christmas. And then they can import a perfectly set up one. So why would you want to do that? Well, one of the things that people want to do is like talk to COM ports on WSL and talk to like Arduinos. And talking to Arduinos and doing embedded systems is a real hassle. On Windows, you're always dealing with tools that don't exist. Well, here you can go and talk to a serial port on Windows 10 using a different version of WSL, WSL1. And then here I could, oops, I forgot to, there we go. There, I've made a menu item in terminal such that I could open up an SSH on a COM port on an embedded device on my desk as a tab inside of my terminal, which is pretty hot, especially if you want to like, call an old BBS or whatever, right? So instead of me messing around in Arduino in this horrible thing, trying to do COM port stuff, I can go and do it in the wonder and the glory of a proper terminal, like Windows terminal, and do that. Now, notice that I said WSL1. That now brings us into the differences between them, which is complicated and non-trivial. Any questions before I tell you the differences between WSL 1 and 2 and why you might pick one over the other? Comments, questions, thought? I mean, is this useful so far? It's kind of random.
Which one comes with the latest version of Windows? You download it and get it in Windows Store? Or?
Oh, good point. Back in the day, you had to get the latest version. Now, I believe the version of Windows you need is version 1903, which is 2019-03. So if you have a version of Windows, I believe from March of last year, you're fine. You can figure that out by just going to your start menu and typing WinVer. And WinVer will bring up a dialog box that looks like this. And it'll say 1902, and I'm on a super new version called 20H2, the second half of 2020. But if you go back and we'll go in Google and I'll show you the version that we made this available. You search for WSL2 backport. There you go. WSL2 support coming to versions 1903, March of 2019, and 1909, September of 2019. So anything from March of last year. If you are on a version of Windows that is older than, in this case now, 9 times 12, 21 months. You know, the internet is a different internet than it was 21 months ago. I would encourage you to upgrade. It's free. Just do it. Now, WSL, Windows subsystem, but I can't type when people are looking. Everyone look away. For Linux. Originally came out with this idea that we would want no Linux kernel, and you would want your Windows processes to show up in the task manager like they were regular stuff. Now, if we go out here and we see that like Kali Linux is version 1, okay? Let's go and do that. Run it, Kali Linux. I'm in Kali Linux. We have Vim, we have VI. Here we go. I'm running VI. Yay. I'm running VI on Kali Linux on WSL1. With me? Now, I'm going to go here into Task Manager on Windows. I'm going to look around, see if I recognize anything. Oh, there's Bash. There is a Windows process that smells like a Linux process. Okay, that's weird, right? Processes on Windows are heavier weight than Linux. This is not an opinion, it's a computer science fact. Windows, it wasn't thought about in that way when it was designed below these many years ago. And on Linux, people make processes like, woohoo, we're making processes. Like, what is, I'll spin a loop and we'll make 10,000 processes. And they're very lightweight. They spin up like threads. Linux people treat processes like threads. With Windows, you'll make a process, which is a thing. It's like a process. So there's not a mapping of one-to-one processes on Linux and processes on Windows. And because of that, the process model for Windows was too heavyweight. The performance would have been quite poor. So what they did is they invented a kind of process called a pico process or tiny process. And there is no Linux kernel here. Now, if you were to go and type dir, that would go and run the dir command in Linux, and the dir command in Linux would go and ask the kernel on that computer, give me a list of files in this directory. Okay? And how does it do that? Well, it makes a system call or a sys call. And in doing that, it needs the kernel. At some point, the user mode, user typed ls, wants a list of files, jumps from user mode into kernel mode. Okay, now actually do the thing. The doing of that is somewhat expensive. And in this case, if we don't have a Linux kernel, who can do that work? What Windows is doing is it is running what are called actual Linux ELF binaries. The Linux binaries don't know they're being run on Windows, and Windows lies to them and forwards calls to Linux and says, no, I'll do it. And it forwards it over to Windows. So if you say open file and it says, all right, system call number 22, Windows subsystem for Linux goes, I'll take care of that. It's cool. There's no Linux kernel. That is really interesting because what that means is if I open a port, like if I opened up port 80 on Linux, and then I opened up port 80 on Windows, I couldn't because another process already got there, right? They share the same process space. They share the same memory space. They share the same file system. That's cool, and that would allow you with WSL1 to do cool stuff like talk to a COM port. So in that example I showed a moment ago where one could talk to a COM port, you can do that because you're on Windows. Like you're basically emulating Linux. You're not Linux. You're the user mode, meaning the utilities for Linux, but not Linux proper. WSL2 also available on these same versions. It's just, you can just set version. You can go and say WSL set version, pick the one you want. WSL 2 is a tiny virtual machine with an actual Linux kernel that Windows ships. And we wrote and shipped that kernel. And that kernel is supported and updated automatically and is hardened and all that kind of stuff. It's shipped by Microsoft. It is a fork of the long-term support version of the Linux kernel. And in doing that, you get like absolute compatibility. It works great. Like 99% of everything works awesome. And it allows me to do things like run Docker, which Windows historically has done in a really cheesy way. On Windows, if you go and run Hyper-V, you would go and expect to see all of your virtual machines. So I'm going to run Hyper-V, and I'm going to expect to see virtual machines, right? But look at that. There are none. In the old days, Docker would fire up a virtual machine, and Windows would pretend like it had container support. Or you might have expected WSL to show up there. Well, if you go to your Start menu, you can do this now if you want. Just type features. It says turn Windows features on or off. Just type features and then go to turn features on and off. And then open this up. It's a weird little old dialog box. Just open it all the way up. And you go down here and you look at this. Windows subsystem for Linux. These two things, virtual machine platform and hypervisor platform. That's the stuff underneath Hyper-V. Now, Hyper-V is a pro thing. It's in Windows Pro. But we want students and people who bought their computers at Walmart to be able to do this stuff too. So we put this support in Windows, excuse me, Windows Home as well. Hyper-V is not supported on Windows Home, but the virtual machine platform in WSL is. So you kind of you load that little bit in there, you install those two things, and then you go to the Windows Store. And I'm going to go to the Windows Store. And you go to search and you type in Linux. And there's all these Linuxes. Now, in this case, the Windows Store is just it's being used by WSL to hold these tar files, these zip files. We're not actually selling you anything. It's just a way to get it to you. So if I click on like Ubuntu 20, whatever, and you don't have to use the store if you don't want to. You can just get the tar file. You can run it with Ubuntu 2004. You can type WSL. It'll launch the default if this is your default. And this is a one-liner right here. Note this here. If you wanted to do that thing that I just showed you, where you would type, you basically are doing that Windows feature and checking that box. That's the PowerShell way to check that box. So doing enable Windows optional feature, that line right there, which appears in the description in Linux of on the Windows Store, is the same thing as checking that box. It'll reboot once, and then you never think about it again. That's really cool, because then you can have as many of these as you want of different versions, and they'll start and stop and do their own thing. And then you can run Docker. So if you're a kid on a Windows home machine and you don't want to pay the extra license, you got Docker, like you do your thing. So I can go Docker images. And I've got like real Docker support. If my Docker is my Docker actually running? There you go. There's my Docker. Now I'm on Windows and I've got a ton of Docker images. I go over to Ubuntu. Now I'm in another operating system. I type Docker images. Is this a different operating system? Well, it is, but it's a shared Docker context. So if we go back here and we type in WSL-list-v again, notice that Docker Desktop is using WSL itself to manage and run and maintain Docker support. Docker on Windows exists because we're using Linux to run it. It's really cool. Now, this is a lot, and I'm going at a certain speed. So talk to me, people. No one has said anything since Forrest left in the chat. Is this useful, interesting? Should we go back and say, that was a lot of speed. Slow down and tell me this part again. Give me something, my friends.
So I've heard rumor that you can debug into your WSL app now.
Okay, I'll show you that.
That'd be cool. Any detractors?
Looking good.
All right. I'll show you a trick. this is not about running virtual machines. It's really, really important that this work in such a way that you don't feel like you're running a VM. It needs to be seamless. So what that means is the D drive is the D drive in Windows or whatever, right? But if I'm over here in Linux, and I type print working directory, we're in /home/Scott. /home/Scott is not C users Scott, right? They're different home directories. I have my Linux home directory, and then I have C users Scott here. So how would I access this? This is a different opaque file system. Now, Chris Ketterman is saying something about can't develop Electron on Ubuntu. I don't see why not. We'll talk about that because I want to hear about that. I can type explorer.exe, which is a Windows executable. I'm going to run it on Linux. Linux is going to say, I don't know what that is. Windows is going to take over. CentOS is not in the store. Yeah, that's fine. You can use CentOS on Windows. I'll show you how to do that. So here I've run Explorer, and in doing that, it actually loads up with local networking. So there's Ubuntu 18.04, and I can see that folder. That allows me to kind of talk over like a local network. So there's my Vim files and my foo that we made and all this kind of stuff. I can edit all of these things. So what that means now is I could type code.exe. Let's actually make a folder here. Call it rich. I'll go in that folder. It's empty, and I'll type .NET. And right now I'm using .NET 5, .NET new console. This is .NET running on Ubuntu. I'll type code dot is the current folder. Now watch in the lower left-hand corner right there. It says WSL Ubuntu. It knows that I'm there. And if I say file open, that's the Ubuntu file system. If I say show local, now you get the Windows file system. So this file right here, this rich that I just made, I'll go ahead and snap it to the side, and I'll snap this to the side, and I'll look and show you that folder there, and I'll type vim programs.cs. There you go. Same thing. Looks like I've got a font issue. Can't see my colors. It's there though. But I could go and change something in Vim. Save it. And now it's here. Make sense? Chris Ketterman, you're saying you do CentOS. Are you saying you can't develop? Help me understand your problem. He's saying, I can't develop Electron on Ubuntu. I get that. And you use CentOS. It's not in the store. That's also cool. You can install your own custom WSLs. That's totally cool. So he's pointing out that like CentOS isn't in the store because the CentOS people have chosen not to do that, which is fine. You can then go and there's tons of different how to installs CentOS. You get the zip file and then you install it by saying WSL import, and then it runs. It's totally cool. Where is Chris? There you are.
I'm right here. Yeah, so the Electron thing, I believe because the Electron is relying on Chromium, that when you try to build a project, it fails because Chromium is not available inside the WSL on like I was using Ubuntu 20.
Oh, okay. Well, you can you can certainly install or build Chromium if you wanted to, and then we're going to support GUI apps on WSL2 later in the year.
Yeah, once that is there, I'll probably be able to do it. But for now, I just let my files live in Windows and do it that way.
That's cool. Yeah, I don't want to like say. So I feel very strongly that you could do that now if you did enough dancing, and in the future it should just work. But yeah, you're right. There's a little bit of dancing. So If something's not available, you have to go and get it. So for example, I'm here on Ubuntu, I need to go and sudo apt update and then sudo apt get stuff. And if I can't, then I need to build it from scratch. So if I wanted to build Chromium or something like that. But if I ran Chromium, if it needs an X Windows server, I don't have one, I'd need to install an X Windows server, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can do all of those things. It's just a hassle. And when you do it, you're like, how far off the beaten path have I gone? But you can go pretty far off the path. We're also supporting GPUs now, so you can do TensorFlow and machine learning using your NVIDIA card locally, which is pretty sweet. And again, we will have GUI support, explicit GUI support. We have tacit GUI support today, tacit graphical support. But you'll be able to go and run a full front end. We don't care. Cool. Thank you, Chris, for giving us that info.
Jen's question, I think you might have answered, but I want to check about if you can't get to the Windows Store.
Yes. Good question. Thank you for that. Sorry. That was Jen. If you can't get in the store because your IT department sucks, you can talk to them and ask them why they suck. Or you can go and download Ubuntu for WSL2 directly, like manually. They want you to download it from the store, but somewhere in here you have to go and find like the zip file. And it's like the tar. I keep forgetting that they say tar. I love that everyone's talking about giving Dolly Parton a Presidential Medal of Freedom because Obama forgot to do that. Here you go, manually download. There it is. So manually download the Windows Subsystem for Linux distro packages, okay? So they go and they put these up. If the store app is not available, you can download and manually install by clicking these links. Isn't that yummy? So yeah, hopefully, Jen, that will solve your problem. Thank you for that question.
Jen is happy already.
Excellent. The best part, again, is that you can set up an environment and make it the way you want and then give it to somebody by just saying export. So making a custom environment is totally possible. A friend of mine, Tara Walker, she does like IoT for like Arduinos and stuff. So she did all the work and got everything perfect and set it up just as it needs to be, and then said export. And then now they distribute their SDK by saying, here, it's a WSL2 instance, and then you can just go and have a completely configured, ready to go instance. So that's cool. And then here's even better. Check this out, Jen. You can actually go and download it at the command line with PowerShell just to flex, or curl if you want to be like that too. So thumbs up, big thumbs up from Jen.
I think, Manuel, you were asking about WSL Linux apart from Docker. They aren't tied together in any way. Well, yeah, they use some of the same resources, but.
Well, so here's the thing. There is a secret, and by secret I mean it's there, but they don't you don't see it unless you go like this.
Yeah.
Docker desktop instance and Docker desktop data instance that is created when you run Docker desktop for Windows. That means we're not using Ubuntu for that. We're using this Docker desktop instance. So when I ran the Docker app here, like you can see Kubernetes is running a happy little node pod and a happy little .NET pod right now. And that is in my instance of Kubernetes and my instance of Docker. And this list of images here, including the podcast that I told you I can build, my local podcast website, that list of images is the same as this list of images here. So it's kind of WSL as a service, like Windows doesn't have the perfectly compatible container support, so why not just let Linux do it for you? Pretty cool. Oh, here you go. Check this out, friends. I just remembered something even cooler. Okay. So beep boop bop boo. Okay, let's do this. So here we've got my podcast. Let me load up Visual Studio. I'm going to load up Visual Studio proper rather than Visual Studio or Visual Studio the Senior. I don't know what we're calling it, the Ocho. And I'm going to open up my podcast code here. I'm going to I think we could make that become a thing, Visual Studio the Ocho. Okay.
While loading, WSL2 on a VM.
WSL2 uses VM, so you'd be using nested virtualization. While nested virtualization is possible, you have to ask yourself why you're doing that. You know what I mean? Like you could ride a unicycle in high heels, or you could just take your heels off, put them in your bag. You know, like this. Like, why do you could do that, but do you want to do that? Corporate IT is making you do it. Are you like Jen? Are they making you like live and work on a VM?
I work on a VM.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They have.
We have some recruiters and some friends here that have some exciting jobs. Where's Alina? Where are the people with exciting jobs for Jen?
Fear of malware and corporate, I don't know. It's just mostly fear of
sassy
malware.
Molassy.
They took all of our local administrator rights away, and so we are now developing on VMs.
God save the Queen, Jen. That is, yep. I apologize on behalf of, I don't know, I just feel bad for you. Like, I'm stupider for having heard that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for us.
Yeah, that sucks. I think that if you could ask them if they can enable nested virtualization, then yes, it would work fine.
Okay.
Jen, I'm just curious. Do you work in the same place WND does?
Yep.
Okay, I know what that is.
But we dare not speak their name because we're being recorded.
I think you're aware of where they work then too, don't you?
Better that I not know. La 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 la. All right. So
Jen,
I'm in.
does that mean you've seen Scott's code?
I'm in Visual.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I'm in Visual Studio, and here when I can pull this down, I've got the ability to run locally on IIS, locally meaning Windows, locally on Kestrel, which is the little mini web server, and then in Docker directly, or in Linux. So I'm actually running on Linux, but debugging and running inside of Visual Studio, which is pretty sweet. So here I just hit F5. I want to point out it says usershare.net. This is Linux paths that are happening right here. Now this is interesting. You can see localhost 5000 here, rather. That is going to punch a hole into that virtual machine and allow us to talk to that localhost 5000, which is local to them. Okay? Because it's the thing you would like to do. So here we go. Now I'm running a version of my podcast's website on localhost 5001. But whose 5001 is that? Well, if we run TCP view, because that's how we roll. Do I have TCP view on my machine? I do. There it is. I'm going to run TCP view. And it's going to open up on one of my many monitors, and I don't know which one. There we go. And I'm going to go down, down, down to the bottom, because this computer is.
Did Scott freeze? I see other people moving, but not Scott.
Scott seems really cold right now.
He does. He does.
He's thinking.
There he comes. He's coming back. He's back.
He's still not moving.
Well, he's resetting.
Is he breathing?
Lord have mercy. Can you see me?
I can hear you.
Oh, there's the new Scott.
There's Andrew. Andrew's taking up. I'm making you co-host, Scott.
So, are you spotlighting me, my friend?
There you are.
I have a new video card, my friends, and my new video card just crashed. I got one of the exciting new 3080 NVIDIA Whatsits, and it just lost its mind and died inside of DirectX, which is sad and suboptimal.
Did you make sure that your motherboard was compatible?
Is that a thing? What does that even mean? Honest question.
Not every graphics card is happy with every motherboard.
Why would it care?
It shouldn't, but it does.
Oh yeah, but you're giving me vagaries.
Yeah,
What could I do possibly to even know?
there's a website. You talk and
There's a website.
I'll find the website and I'll post it.
Well,
I'll put it in there.
thank you, Rocco. There's a website. Like a website with a list of motherboards. And when you say it doesn't work, like would completely stop working and
Like the drivers don't like to work with each other.
huh. Well, I would say
Anytime I've
that,
built a computer, I've run into that where like, oh, you should have gotten this graphics card for that motherboard.
Like NVIDIA doesn't like AMD.
Yeah.
well, let me rephrase. So I have upgraded. Go ahead and let me in again, Rich.
I am.
Be right back. As I was saying,
Yeah, you look good again.
I upgraded from an NVIDIA 1080 to an NVIDIA 3080. The thing has worked scrumptiously for an entire week. That is the first time I've ever seen anything like that, and it was literally in DirectX that it just died right now. So it could have been Zoom it could have been OBS, it could have been any of the things I was doing. But yeah, that was weird. It just poofed. It just went. But with the power of the Intel processor, I can reboot faster than ever. So it doesn't really matter. Anyway.
By poof, you mean you had smoke?
No, not smoke poof. I mean, just like it wasn't even one of those moments where anything interesting happened. Just like, and then I was looking at the BIOS screen. I was expecting at least some drama, some interrupt storms, or some sound, or painful screaming from the sound card. I didn't even get the satisfaction of that. It just went, and then that was it. No smoke yet, though. Although I should probably touch it, see if it's hot.
Yeah, I wonder if there might be something burned up on it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was dramatic.
I couldn't see this.
It's been running. I've had this thing on for a week and haven't had a single issue. It's unfortunate. We'll find out. Anywho, what was we doing? We were debugging.
We were.
Yeah, it works. That's all you got to know.
According to NZXT, my GPU is at 700 degrees. I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
I don't know. I'm a little surprised that crashed. I'm disappointed. I'll dig into it later.
Intel Iris Pro never crashes, huh, Louis?
Yeah, it's true. If you want 1 frame a second, then definitely pick up that Iris card. I got the 3080 for doing video encoding. No, I'm not a gamer, but I can. It cut my video encoding. Like I have a half-hour video, take an hour or two, and I can encode it in like 5 minutes. It's insane. So video encoding in Premiere is lovely.
I want it because driving 2 4K monitors is not possible with my current 1060. And if I'm going to get a new one, I might as well get that one.
Yeah. Well, there you go. If you got the cheddar, go for it.
It's not, but the thing is, it's not that much more than the 2000.
Well, make no mistake, a $600 video card is a $600 video card, and buy a $600 video card, I mean, it's $699, and we tell ourselves it's $600.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
If you got that, if you got it like that, Rich, go for it. I expensed mine. At least got a couple $100 off. Cool. Alan says it's worth it.
So what do you use for video encoding?
I use 3 different things. I use Handbrake, which can use NVIDIA CUDA. I use Adobe Premiere with a Creative Cloud subscription, and I use Camtasia 2020. All 3 of those use the NVIDIA cards for their encoding, and they're wicked fast.
What was the last one?
Camtasia is what I use for all of my my YouTube videos, and Adobe Premiere is what I do when I outgrow Camtasia, and then Handbrake or FFmpeg is what I use if I want to do conversion from one format to another lossless.
Yeah, I think Chris mentioned that earlier.
We were talking about FFmpeg before you got here, Scott.
Good deal. One of the mistakes that people make is they want to take a video and trim it, and in the process re-encode it when you don't need to lose anything. You can do a copy codec, and then you won't lose quality. Cool. Well, I think crashing and blue screening is actually a good time to stop. We can do Q&A at this point, but I'm afraid to do anything else.
It is after 8, which we, would
Oh,
normally.
it's 8:20, yeah, almost. I gotta put.
We would be normally bringing out the hook now. And time flew by pretty fast.
But I mean, does that give you all a taste of kind of the cool stuff that's going on right now? I mean, it's like I'm trying to show people that you don't have to buy a MacBook to like develop on anything. And I really think that's important. Like I've got an HP Stream that I'm setting up for a kid. It was like $280 and you can run all this stuff, but I've also got a Surface Pro X over here, which is an ARM-based machine. And it's completely silent, totally fanless, runs WSL, runs ARM versions of Ubuntu, works just fine. So Windows plus Visual Studio Code can do anything. And from a developer box perspective, it's extremely competent, I would say.
How long do you think Visual Studio exists when code's storming the world like it is?
I think that they're different things, right? I mean, like code doesn't do really good code coverage, live unit testing, historical debugging, time travel debugging, snapshot cloud-based debugging. Like if you're an enterprise, I think Visual Studio is always going to be a thing. Code is a great editor, but it's a motorcycle and a minivan. They're not the same vehicle. They really aren't.
Craig, you can have my Visual Studio when you pry it from my cold, dead hands.
So Alan is saying I could compile my .NET 5 web app to another target. Can you expand on what you're saying there, Alan?
Alan
Newton. On ARM. Yeah, so you could on Windows say, like, here we go, let me try to, I'll actually just be stupid and I'll share my screen again, which will no doubt destroy the world. This is fine.
Your sound's kind of breaking up a little bit. Huh?
Yeah.
Is it? Is my sound breaking up?
It is.
Yeah.
Well, scheisse.
There was a little bit of scratch earlier, but now it's a little more scratch. Yeah, it's probably your beard.
So is the orange from the destruction of the card?
Change from purple to orange.
Is this not sounding good anymore? Are we running out of battery?
That actually sounds better now.
That's better.
Okay, it's probably rubbing on the shirt or something. Okay, so if I'm at the command line and I go into the desktop and we make that folder called rich and I make a .NET web app for rich and I'm on x64, I can say .NET, I think I can say .NET public. We may have changed this actually in .NET 5, so I may have to Google. There you go. So I just built and published the ARM Linux version of that .NET app from a non-ARM machine. Now I can't run it, but I built it. So yes, I think that answers the question.
Cool. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you for asking the question.
That could be useful.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting because that's useful to do stuff like this. Can you see that okay?
Yep.
All right, so if I want to go and like be on Visual Studio, here I am in Visual Studio at a breakpoint, talking to a Raspberry Pi, running Linux ARM, debugging a .NET application. So yeah, you can do anything that makes you happy.
So Scott, let's talk for a few more minutes, but I just chatted the link to add your name and email address for our drawing.
The contests, yes.
Yeah. So if you haven't already done that, go ahead. And in about between 5 and 10 minutes, I'm going to pull the list and we'll see what's going on. Did you add your name?
I added my same, yeah, and that'd be great because if I can put the kids to bed, my wife will be happy.
Yeah. So then the only drawing really is and I do have my the random.org random number generator, so we'll be able to.
Nicely done.
If it's a recurring, just put it back in the. Number generator.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, this is one of those things where you really don't want to have two of me in there because it really messes it up.
That's true. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to do a quick sort and make sure that we've got.
So you're saying I'm scratchy still?
Yeah.
A little
Can you
bit.
define scratchy?
It's like a little
We don't hear it
overdrive.
right now.
What's that?
It sounds
It's
like an
what?
overdrive.
Overdrive.
Static
Pop,
pop.
pop, pop.
It's a good one.
Overdriven.
A little bit of soft
You know,
clipping.
soft clipping. I tell you, audio is such a hassle. You try to do a thing, and there we go. How's that? That's automatically adjust volume. Static pops and ducking and cutoff. Well, god dang it. Well, your cameras and mics suck too, everybody. No, I am struggling with this this stuff. I don't understand it because it's not complicated what I've set up here, but it's still not working the way I need it to work.
Oh, I'm excited. I finally ordered the Logitech Brio Windows Hello compatible, super awesome video, 4K.
Got the 4K, nice 4K camera. That's a
Yeah, that's
lovely webcam. Need good light.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
I
You gotta
can
have.
vary.
You gotta get the makeup light. As you look.
I have options. I do have options.
Excellent.
Alexa, make office light 80%.
Now you're effing up everyone's Alexa. Now you've screwed up my Alexa. Now it's talking to me.
Yeah.
Let's I gotta get running to put the kids down.
All right.
So I will.
If you
I think I will
haven't
leave
already
you.
put your name on the list, then I'm sorry, but you have missed your opportunity.
Thank you very much, Scott. You really have done well. I've learned more from you than I think I have anyone else.
That is very kind. I'm doing my very best. I compliment.
Definitely more than what you've learned from me, right, Chris?
The only thing I learned from you is how to get to those big jugs of beer.
Or go to PADNUG. That's the other thing you learned from me. I think you have learned that.
Interesting stuff, even to a normal.
I appreciate normals. They're the best of us.
Normal in a sort of kind of way.
That's just what Cells calls me.
Okay, that's a good point.
Normal. A civilian.
I'm swapping my batteries out. Thank you for that tip.
Did you see where the Marines and the Army are really they're having they have a lot of people are using LSD in the in their graphics and science parts.
I am finally going to join the Army now. Thank you. Okay, I think we've got the list ready. There was a couple duplicates, and I'm not surprised. I mean, yeah, you may have forgotten. So that's been cleaned out, and there are 97 entries. So I'm putting in 1 to 97 on my the random number generator. Now, everyone who put their email address in here, I just want to be clear. As I said in the slide, and want to make sure everyone understands, this is all new. We don't know what we're doing on the virtual swag, but we're going to give it a whirl. My expectation is that Qdoba, it looks like we should be able to upload a list to send to people. So I'll try to do that before the week is complete. And then the Microsoft store will actually be multiple virtual gift cards, e-gift cards, because they top out at $100. So I'm going to have to send out multiple of those. So when whoever wins that one, especially, we're going to want to communicate a little bit and make sure you get what you are due. So here goes the random number generator, 1 to 97. Lucky number 30. And that is Eric Nichols. Eric Nichols, are you there?
Yeah, wow, I never win anything. Amazing.
Well, Eric Nichols, you won the big one, and everyone won Qdoba. So I think we're going to be able to send out $15, $20 Qdoba gift cards. Got a got to add it up and make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed, but you should be set. And then Eric, you and I will probably want to chat. I'll send you an email here in a little bit just to remind you. And so you'll have my email address. And that was a legitimate email address you gave, right? Okay.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Okay, good. Congratulations. And I like I said, you should have enough to cover an Xbox Series X with this.
In 5 months. Thank you very much.
Hey, come on, they are out there. It's just a matter of.
No, I actually went on Black Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a ring of people out there getting in lines and getting them all up.
Well, I think Costco had a bunch too, but now they're out of them too now. So, plus I want that. I want that video card. I want the new Lego Coliseum. I have needs. Come on, folks.
I bought an embarrassing amount of smart speakers this year. There's no man needs that many smart speakers, but I have them.
We have one. We live in a less than 1,000 square foot condo, and there's 2 of us, and we have 4 Echo shows. In addition to a few other Echo devices that we don't use all that often, so don't feel bad. Yes, Fenway Park, Jack, will be a great addition, but the Coliseum, over 9,000 pieces. That's very compelling to a Lego aficionado like me. Well, with no further ado, how am I sending Qdoba gift cards? Eldred, I don't know exactly how it works because Qdoba gave me the link today and I looked at it, and it's a third party that does that for them. So I have to set up an account, log in there, give them a list. It is designed for doing bulk, so I'm not too concerned about that. And at worst case, I'm going to go over and talk to Lola. Everyone should know Lola. She's always there when we have our live events. And I will go talk to her and she will coach me through this. Now, I am willing to keep this open for a while if people want to chat, because we usually do. Scott has left. Scott has left the building. But if other people want to just.
How long ago did Scott leave?
Let's see, he left, let's see, he said, got to run, and then left.
Oh, okay, 8:26, 3 minutes ago.
Yep, sorry. You have a question? Maybe
Oh, I just had to be away from my desk for a phone call. I'm back.
Don't ever let them call you again.
Never again.
Well, Paul, we did record this, so you will be able to watch the finale on YouTube.
That's true.
But I will stop recording so that people can speak openly and honestly too.